Good morning, it's Norma Cowie with Wednesday's Norma Talks. I was away for a few days, so I I came back, and I don't know why, but road trips seem to be interesting. I also discovered I'd left my daytimer in the hotel room, which was like freaking out for a while because so much is in that daytimer. So even as I phoned the hotel and said, by the way, I was in this room, and the man told me what it was, so he had it. So hopefully it's in the mail, and it should be back to me by the end of the week, because I know what I'm doing this week. I have no idea what I'm doing next week. Other than that, it was a really interesting trip. I had a very nice visit with a friend I haven't seen for a long time, and all those things add to the world. Anyhow, it's late September. I don't know about you, but I found September a very long month. Usually that's January. I didn't find January very long, but September to me dragged on and on and on. Anyway, we're just coming up to the last few days. And of course, because next Wednesday would be 5th, I think it is, of October, I am doing the reading for October today. And so I'm going to find, I just realized, there's my share screen. Oh, really? Yes, I am here. Now, okay, so we're going to put that up. There we go. So this is the reading that I got for October. And I looked at this and I went, oh my goodness. Okay, how am I going to, you can't see my eyes going crazy. It was like, how am I going to put this together? Because I put the cards out, but I don't really read them until I see them up. Now, one of the things that I did notice is like up and down, especially in the beginning part of October, let's say to the middle. And it's like up and down like a yo-yo. So let's just kind of work our ways through it and see where we end up. And then we can discuss those ups and downs. It starts with surprises. So I would say from the 1st to the 3rd, there'll be some surprises, and surprises can be, we can handle it really easily, or we are a little discombobulated. But then what begins to happen is that it feels really, really good. So we're going from around the 2nd to probably about the 4th, maybe 5th, maybe even, where we feel great. Everything's beginning to go along really, really well. All the things that we are wanting and requiring, this is going to be great. Only to find all of a sudden it's like all that you might, not exactly euphoria, but feeling really good. Everything is just coming together. Then all of a sudden, bang. And by the way, I should put the symbology. The 10 of Cups is always happy, happy. And then we come to the 5. It's like everything collapses, everything falls down. And here we have the 5 of Cups, where now we're feeling sad, things have lost. And the dreams, the goals that we thought we had we're not looking at them. We can't see them. We don't know what's going to happen. It always talks about in the 5 of Cups of changing your perspective, looking at things from a different angle. And just when you think, oh my goodness, everything is kind of gone, what am I going to do here? Maybe we do turn around and look at things differently. I'm not sure, but we go right into the 3 of Cups, which again is celebration, happy. Things are joyful. Things are great. Oh, good. It's almost like you've gone through a lot of trauma, and then all of a sudden you breathe a sigh of relief and go, oh my goodness, this is wonderful. Everything is fine again. When bam, and that's the up into the devil. So what we're looking here at is basically is up and down, and then until we get to the middle of the month. It's like, I don't even want to predict whether it's 2 days, a week, or whatever. We've only got, only the middle of the month is usually about 15 days anyway. But it's like we're just beginning to feel uncertain, unsure. So it's almost like whether it's news, whether it's events, everything goes great, only to have it not go great, go great, not go great. So we get to the devil, which is where our emotions are in control of us. And this, when we begin, usually in that way, is that's when we're sad or unhappy or not feeling very good. When we come into, and I want to go by around the 17th of the month, actually, is the energy of the sun, which is in the 2nd row here. this is where everything comes together in a very, it's like newness. It's like we've done the journey and it's been hard. Excuse me, I just have to have a drink of water here. It's like the journey has been a little bit hard, and now we go and like, oh my goodness, everything is absolutely fine. And as we come through into actually, it seems to me to be like most of the 20s, it's to about 27th of October, there's a feeling of achievement, and awareness. And then the last part, just before the last part, 27th, 28th, 29th of October, coming up towards Halloween, right? It's like we see this Four of Pentacles sitting here. And that's where we kind of try and hold on to everything the way it is. And yet the final card, the Ace of Cups, is saying there is an awareness here of applying your philosophy, your spirituality, your awareness into the newness, because things are needing to be new. I think we're going to find that October is a very, I want to say, cataclysmic month, not like maybe a lot of land turmoil, but emotionally as a world, because I always look at North America for the months. It's like up and down, up and down, up and down. Just when we begin to feel, oh, okay, this is how things are going to collapse. So then there could be news coming out that we like and don't like, depending on maybe on what side of the table you're at. But basically, all in all, when we look at, if we were rearranging these, and I'm just going to look at them from different angles here, the Page of Cups is always about surprise. How do we handle surprises? And if we look at the left side, coming on down to the Sun and the Ace, the surprise over the month will give us a sense of new beginnings, definitely new beginnings, which we will be able to incorporate into that world. On the right hand, well, my right hand side, what we see here is the Devil over with the Four of Pentacles. Now, to me, this is the emotion. If we get all emotional and we stay in our emotions, we're holding on to those things that need to be transformed. Because the Ace of Cups is always about embracing the higher power, embracing that, so your life does change. There's certainly no doubt about that. But when we hold on to things, and when we get tight, as we get tight, our hands get tight, our being gets tight, we don't allow the newness or the change in. So I almost feel like there's half here. Half of we've got surprises, and half it's like half the world is going, yay, I can transform into that, I can utilize that. And the other half is going, I want to have it stay like I know. I want things to be the way they are supposed to be. And we're really, no matter what, there doesn't seem too much alternative but changing. Now, right in the middle, what we have here is the Five of Cups with the Empress folding down. Very similar. What's gone is gone. What the past is always the past. And in the Five of Cups, it always talks about changing your viewpoint to what's behind him. Because if you look at the symbolism, I love the symbolism of the symbol. 3 cups have fallen over, which means they've spilled out, whatever the value was that they held. But if you turn around, and I should mention the man sitting there all sad because of that, but if you turn around, there are 2 cups. And there's some more things about the numbers, which I won't get into right now. And the bridge across the river of life to the castle of dreams. So changing perception. And here it says, those that are willing to change perception come into this Empress, which is the law of love. Everything is working. Everything feels how they need to feel. And then the Ace of Cups saying again, the incorporation of the higher power, the essence, the being of you, the awareness, that is the beginning of your understanding of self, life, and beingness. So what we're really looking at when you break, we've got that symbology that kind of what we don't like really seeing so much around, which is the Five of Cups, the Devil, mainly. And the Four of Pentacles can be very hard because there's no give in it. But other than that, actually, everything is up. High, celebrations, ease, newness, growth. But I still think the way the symbology is placed, that we're in for a time of up and down, inside out, And it's what is main for us is that we remain flexible and look ahead. I'm going to stop the share now. Hopefully you've seen all the symbology so that we can get back to being, here we are. Now, when I looked at that first, I went, wow, we're really in for a journey. But when I looked at it and began to dissect it, what we find is only a few symbols that are really, but they're not an easy symbols. Five of Cups and the Devil are really hard emotional symbologies. And with the Four of Pentacles holding on, what it does, it takes down all the other great symbology that is there. You see, it all begins with the surprises of the Page of Cups. You'll see me looking down because I've just got the cards down here and proper down in front of me here, or messed up, because I wanted to see how they really look as a group. What do we do when life gives us surprises? How do we handle that piece of news that we either don't want to hear, or even if we do want to hear it? Because we go along, most of us, in pretty well organized, this is how life is. This is our routine. This is what we want. This is how we want. So when some piece of news comes in, when something unexpected happens, it throws all that into disarray. When it throws it into disarray, we always have a choice of how do we handle and how do we deal with that? What do we do with it? And that was what becomes important. And what I see in this month of October coming up is that, and we stay rigid, and this will be individual. We as a person, me, you, my friends, your friends, if we all stay rigid and not wanting to accept the change, or not wanting to accept the, the word in my head was evidence, whatever, coming in, how we respond to that is what's important. What comes in is information or an event. Events happen to. Now, we can always go inside to find out how do we want to respond to that. But if we want everything to remain the same, then what happens is we get tied up, which is what our devil symbology represents, is that we are locked into our emotions, that we are not reasonable at all. And we're sad, and we're just hanging on to the old way. This is a time of change. This month is going to be a time of change in one way or another. What I really like about it, offsetting that, is growth and love and understanding of things that need to change. And in a way, we could say this happens in our life all the time. You hear a piece of news, somebody's died that you didn't expect. Maybe you work at a place, and I know this has been happening, and all of a sudden they're closing, and you have to change your whole perception of where's our money coming from? What are we going to do? How do we do that? What do we do? How flexible are we? I'm not known to be a totally flexible person at times, but I've learned that I need to be. I just have to process what's going on. And then, actually I usually ask inside for some kind of inspiration or some sign, so I know what's my next step. It's always what's the next step? What are you going to do? So my suggestion for this month of October is just be flexible in information that's coming in. Look at how you want to respond to that, not overreact. It did not talk about overreacting, interestingly enough. It talks about how you feel on the inside, being sad or feeling that maybe what you've put your faith in not really being the way that it's going to be. And yet the ultimate element of this is that you grow and things move into a different vibration. Our world is all energy. And what is the vibration of our own energy? What is the vibration of our country's energy? What is the vibration of the world's energy? And I'm just going to include what is the vibration of the Mother Earth that we live on. I find people don't really consider that. It is going through its cycles. Every year we have we have 4 basic seasons. Where we live in the world depends on the length of those seasons. I know this year, I was thinking about this actually funnily this morning. Our summer up here where I live was a little shorter than usual. And what do I mean by summer? What I mean is heat. We had about 2.5, maybe 3 weeks of real heat, which I love. Most of my friends don't. But I love it when it's hot. And I was enjoying sitting outside at night in the warm, no real wind, my flowers flowering, reading my book. And my iPad, there's light so I can see when it's the rest of it's dark. It was wonderful. I didn't get to do it enough. All of a sudden, the wind came in again and it was cool. The wind was cool. Temperatures dropped 7 to 10 degrees. It was like all of a sudden everything got back. Fall's coming. Our summer started late. Our summer ended early. Cycles. And how do we deal with that? I was a little upset because I love the heat and I love summertime. Even though I may be not out doing all the summer sports, I enjoy the heat and movement and the brightness of summer. So how do we get flexible when something comes along? It's called acceptance. This word of acceptance has been coming up a lot lately for people. There are times we just have to accept what is. And the acceptance of what is very often, I have to smile actually to myself right now because with my clients, I call it isness. It just is. And when you accept it just is, then you take a look at what do you want to do about that? So you're always looking forward. What are you looking at? Where in the direction that you're going in? Are you stuck in the old isness that is no more? Because a piece of news comes in or something happens and now we got to deal with the reality of now. And that's about, like, there was a book, I can't remember the author anymore and I know I should, but and it was There's Only Now, something like that about now. And there is only now. What are you doing now? What are you doing mentally? What are you doing emotionally? What are you doing with your actions in this now moment? And in a way, it's the same as what do I call isness? What is this? It just is, because we are governed so much by outside sources. We have families, we have friends, and they have situations happening, or situations happen. Comes back to you. What do you do with this? That's where you make your choices. This is where you make your sense of being. Are you able to adjust? Are you able to expand? Are you able to be? We've had a lot of restriction in the last couple of years. And I found when the restrictions were taken off, I found it a little difficult to shift some things. Now, okay, you could say, well, I'm older, but I was surprised at how the restrictions affected me, A, and B, how I took a while, and even now, not 100% adjusted back, where things are a lot more liberal, a lot more freer, shall we say. I know when I found out there was a time when I couldn't go back to New Zealand, and I was thinking that I probably would never get back. And I did what I call a grieving day. I do things like this when I realized, oh my goodness, this is not going to be the way it was. So I grieve. I grieve for that. And then I'm usually good. I just accept and go on. But I have to give it that time. So now it's like, but now it's the wrong time of the year because they're in winter. We're coming in the end of summer. They're coming in the beginning of winter. So do I want to go down at that point? No. If I'm going to go back, I want it where it's warm. So there's all sorts of things to consider. And so it's how flexible are you in adjusting to changes? I think when I was younger, I was pretty good at it. I think. I don't know. Maybe people would disagree with that. But now it's like, I move slower. Things are, and it's all of a sudden like, yeah, because it's how do we go inside? What does it affect? What does it trigger? What old things does it trigger? Talking about triggering has brought me to mind as something I do want to say. If any of you were watching or re-listen to the Monday mental mind treatments, in the middle of one of the treatments, I had this great ha-ha in relation to my own life of something that I'd harbored against my dad. I can't believe this. And all of a sudden I realized I still had not accepted self-responsibility that the whole thing really was me. Yes, he played a big part in it, but it was me that made the decision. And I was like, wow, because I thought that I had accepted self-responsibility throughout my life. And all of a sudden, as I'm doing this mental mind treatment for someone, I'm going, and and it just everything cracked open in my mind. And I realized, this is your responsibility. You did not assume responsibility. And, in a way, I took the easy way out, which I didn't think was really the easy way out. But life is fascinating. We as humans are the most fascinating things. I thought I had resolved that issue. I thought I cleared it up with my dad, the whole thing. And then I realized I was thinking to myself, this is all going on and way in the background. I have mentioned that a few times lately. Like, what is that about? Because I find if we mention things, and I usually say that if we mention it more than 3 times, then we're addicted to the story of it. And this last time I realized I'd been saying this story a little bit. What is that about? I hadn't accepted responsibility for my part in it. I just blamed my dad. It was all his fault. And even though I thought I'd worked it out, I hadn't, because I had not accepted self-responsibility. So how we come many, many years later, and our world is going kind of a lot different, not our usual plodding along, like, just plodding along, same old, same old. No, not anymore. Now, by looking at these symbols of the next month coming up, we're going to have a little bit of turmoil. Great one day, not so great the next. Maybe it's weeks, but we've only got 4 weeks in a month approximately. And so how do we handle that? Do we accept self-responsibility for actions? Do we accept self-responsibility for what it is we want to create and what we want to do? That's the wonder of life. Honestly, I always have believed, and pretty well since I became a conscious human being, not as a child, I wasn't conscious, no. But as we grow up, we're looking and wanting to grow as people, as humans, as an awareness of ourselves in relation to the world. It's about assuming self-responsibility and self-awareness of where we're going. And I've always worked to understand how everything all comes together. I have learned great things about energy, about the bigger godlike energy, whether if you want to call it that, and I don't really care what name you call it, that force that lives, and the earth itself, upon which we walk. Sometimes I don't hear a lot of respect for that earth anymore. It's almost like there's not mentioned, and more, in fact, a lot of interference. But I'm not going to go there because it's a political thing and I have to watch what I say politically. You are responsible for your reactions. And when you start hearing news or events and situations that you don't like, if you have friends to discuss it with, it helps, I find. But if not, just take a look. What do I want to do with this? Is it going to is my actions and reactions going to enhance my life? Or is it going to make it more difficult for me? Is it going to bring about a whole pile of stuff I don't want? I just think, in a way, I'm giggling inside because when I saw these symbols and I'm going, oh my goodness, it's just like this big, amazing ride that we're going on round and round. Who knows, up, down, in and out. And I found it'll be interesting to see how we respond. It'll be interesting to see how we come together in our humanity, how we work together, how we share the great things, the good things, or because everything is not always great for everybody, but it's like, what do we do with that isness there that needs to be accepted? So I just want to, I know I'll be back talking again. And oh, goodness me, it seems like my life is geared about my schedule. And so I will be back on Sunday and on Monday night and again next Wednesday. So we'll see how, as this month of October unfolds, how this reading that I did is actually represented into the material world. I wish you well. Thank you for looking. Thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for your comments. Just thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm very grateful for each and every one of you. You just enjoy, and thank you.